dear members of the European Parliament, dear colleagues, the situation of refugees and migrants facing potentially harsh winter conditions has always been a key concern for our Commission. Our clear priority is to provide with our support all Member States and our neighbours in their task and efforts to protect refugees and migrants during the winter season. We all know that this is not a new issue, and the Commission has been proactive in assisting and supporting the authorities in the front line throughout all previous winters. But our collective preparedness has to be structural. Because, yes, there is a winter every year, and nobody knows and can predict how heavy it can become. We all know this is a demanding exercise for national authorities, notably in those countries hosting a large number of migrants. Looking first at the situation in Greece, it is indispensable to recall the enormously positive and stabilising effect brought about by the activation of the EU-Turkey statement in March 2016. Since the very beginning of the crisis, the European Union has made available around €1.3 billion in support to Greece in tackling the migration and refugee challenges, making Greece the largest beneficiary of EU Home Affairs funds, as well as the exclusive beneficiary of the new EU Emergency Support Instrument. The EU funding enabled to upgrade the hotspots and to ensure the operation of the open accommodation site of Karatepe in the island of Lesbos. Necessary services such as washing, cleaning, catering and food provision, housing, transportation, legal aid, medical services and educational activities are not a luxury. They are a must. They are essential for a dignified treatment all migrants must enjoy. Without EU financial support directly to the Greek authorities or via implementing partners such as UNHCR and IOM, many refugees and migrants would have been deprived of their fundamental human rights. Last year, the Commission also funded the purchase and installation of prefabricated houses and heating devices. These too significantly contributed to overall improving the reception conditions in the islands. But today, we are facing again a situation of severe overcrowding on most of the islands. Yes, the situation has become very difficult. This is due to a combination of facts. The recent increase in arrivals in the Greek islands since early summer of 2017, even though limited, together with the still insufficient and not always adequate reception capacity, as well as the still limited returns to Turkey. We cannot have a repetition of last year. These shocking images of last year must not return. Effective solutions must be immediately found. I personally just came back from Greece, where I had constructive discussions with the Greek authorities. And my colleague in charge of humanitarian aid, Commissioner Stylianidis, has also been in close and regular contacts with the Greek side. Solutions have been identified, and we will continue to assist Greece in addressing the situation, notably in Lesbos, Chios and Samos Islands. This is why, to tackle effectively the situation on the islands, the Commission has also taken concrete steps to expand the scope of the rental scheme funded by the Emergency Support Instrument. By the end of the year, the rental scheme will reach up to 2,000 places, adding thereby up to an additional 900 places to the 1,122 already available places on the islands. For this, the full engagement and cooperation of the local authorities is essential. EU funding has been mobilised during the summer under the Greek AMIF national programme to specifically support winterisation works in the hotspots on the islands. But there are winter-related works which still need to be completed. More precisely, electricity grids in the hotspots should be upgraded. All housing units should be connected to electricity, and further heating appliances should be provided for those housing units that are not equipped with air conditioners. Additional prefabricated units should be transferred from the mainland where possible. The Commission has also been calling for the creation of appropriate reception facilities, including closed facilities on the islands. Dear colleagues, let me add at this point, cooperation of all actors of all levels, and in particular with local authorities, is key. They are the ones who are mostly confronted with the dire situation on the ground. They all have to work together and support each other in the efforts to exit the crisis mode towards a sustainable migration management. Only if everyone does its part and all parts of a comprehensive strategy are fulfilled, the situation will improve. The continuous implementation, full implementation of the EU-Turkey statement is key for the situation on the islands to improve. Again, let me repeat, continuous support and timely delivery from all partners, the national authorities, the Commission, EU agencies, UNHCR, IOM and other implementing partners on the ground is essential. It is equally key that the Greek authorities continue to invest in swift asylum and return procedures, which contribute to further improving the situation in the islands. In fact, the Emergency Support Instrument is providing accommodation in rental apartments all over Greece, not just the islands, and we are ready to finance up to 30,000 places. As of 7 November, 15,458 refugees are already living in rental apartments, whilst the Greek government is in the process of organising more transfers from the reception centres. Furthermore, all 21 long-term Commission-funded reception centres in mainland Greece are winterised, with the Greek government having undertaken to close substandard temporary reception centres before the end of the year. I would like to emphasise that our clear objective is to achieve having most people on the mainland live in rental accommodation. The Commission is also ready to fund additional places should such needs be confirmed. But our joint efforts on this matter are not just about Greece. We have to remain prepared as Europe, as a continent. We follow closely the situation in all Member States, in particular the frontline Member States, including Italy and Bulgaria, where there seem to be no imminent challenges for the winter for refugees and migrants. The preparation of the authorities and funds we provided since last year have yielded clear results. For example, in Bulgaria, the International Organization on Migration is implementing an action for the purchase and distribution of winter clothing kits and shoes to migrants in all reception centres in Bulgaria. According to Bulgaria, these kits are already available since October. Now, regarding Italy, no specific winterisation needs have been identified, but progress is being made in swiftly mobilising €35 million of emergency assistance to support Italy in further catering for the needs of those arriving in the country and improving the efficiency of procedures. Work is underway also on the possible mobilisation of up to a further €100 million to assist needs on the ground. Any emerging winterisation needs could then be supported in this framework. Let me now turn to Serbia and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. The European Union has been using all possible tools to help cope with the refugee crisis in both countries and is providing significant financial and technical support. During the last winter, the Western Balkans faced considerable difficulties due to cold weather and heavy snowfall, especially in Serbia. We all recall the images of last year. Expanding the reception capacities and ensuring that existing centres are adequate for the upcoming winter has been one of our priorities, and we are working closely with the Serbian authorities to this end. A special measure adopted in March 2017, amounting to €23.5 million, aims, amongst others, at covering accommodation costs, both running costs and refurbishment. Under the EU Trust Fund, in response to the Syrian crisis, an action of €21 million was approved in June. It includes a €16 million direct grant for Serbia, also covering costs related to the running of centres, including staff and utilities, education and healthcare. It is a priority to be signed by the end of this year. Up until then, humanitarian aid has allowed us to support the provision of food and non-food items, as well as protection to refugees and migrants, informal education and transport to schools. With more than €83 million allocated to Serbia overall, both through humanitarian aid and pre-accession assistance, this makes the European Union the largest donor of Serbia. In total, there is more than €118 million in the past and future planned EU financial and technical support for Serbia in the field of border migration and asylum management. For instance, the IPA funding for the current deployment of 50 guest officers from EU member states has been extended until the deployment of teams with executive powers by the European Borders and Coast Guard Agency. Negotiations to allow for such deployment are ongoing both with Serbia and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. In the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, since the crisis broke out, the Commission has allocated €19 million to specifically help them cope with the refugee crisis. This is part of over €50 million in past and planned EU financial and technical support for the country in the field of borders, migration and asylum management. We will consider additional funds as needs arise. More generally, the European Union is looking into providing additional support based on the needs agreed with our partner countries. Dear colleagues, we are all sensitised with the issue. It has to do with our humanitarian duty above everything. I'm looking forward to hearing your views. Thank you very much for your attention.